So right away, we know we're dealing with a potentially tragic situation in Tanki Leendert. For those who don't know, can you paint us a picture of what Tanki Leendert is like?
Sure. Tanquileindert's a pretty typical Aruban neighborhood. You know, a mix of houses, apartments, probably a local bakery or two, maybe some kids playing football in the street, that kind of vibe.
Gotcha. The article was published today, October 29th, 2024. So this is very recent news. It says, a son discovered his father deceased in their home on Monday night. Ambulances were dispatched right away, and first responders tried to resuscitate the man.
Two ambulances,
Wow.
actually, which is kind of a lot for a potential natural death, wouldn't you say? It makes you wonder about those emergency response procedures in Aruba. Is this normal, or could it point to something more?
Yeah, definitely more than you typically see in, say, the US or Canada for a similar situation.
Right. Aruban paramedics undergo extensive training. They're a vital part of the healthcare system there. But their procedures, while sticking to international guidelines, could have some unique aspects due to the island setting.
I see what you mean.
Like, think about it. The availability of specialized equipment, the time it takes to get to a hospital, all these factors could be totally different from what we're used to.
Yeah, it's these little differences that make deep dives like this so interesting, right? We're not just getting the facts, we're getting a glimpse into how another society operates.
Precisely. And those seemingly small details, they can reveal a lot about a place's culture and priorities.
Totally agree. Sadly, the article says the man was pronounced dead at the scene, despite the paramedics' efforts. Police suspect natural causes, possibly due to some pre-existing conditions.
But here's the thing about Aruba. It's a small island, right? Their whole approach to death investigations, even when natural causes seem likely, might be different from what we see in bigger countries.
That makes sense.
Population density, crime rates, the tight-knit nature of these communities, all of these could influence how they handle things.
You know what else I noticed? The article doesn't say how old the son is or mention any other family members.
Oh, interesting.
At first, I thought it was just, like, journalistic style. But then I started wondering.
Could be a cultural thing. In these close-knit island communities, there's often a big emphasis on privacy, especially during times of grief. Maybe the media reflects that, omitting certain details out of respect for the family.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like we're seeing the story through this cultural filter. It's fascinating to think about how different societies approach these things.
It highlights how even a local news report can give you insights into cultural norms and values. And that's what's so powerful about local news. It takes us beyond those big headlines and right into the heart of a community. It's like, we're piecing together a puzzle. But each piece we find just brings up more questions than answers.
So true. We may never know all the details of this man's life, but it does make you think about life in Aruba, specifically in Tanki Leendert. What are their daily routines like? Their hopes and struggles?
Yeah, and it reminds us to look for different perspectives. Like, if we only consume news from our own little bubble, we miss out on these glimpses into other ways of life.
Totally. It's like
Yeah.
we're expanding our understanding of the world one local news story at a time.
Exactly. And in doing so, we challenge our own assumptions, our preconceived notions about different cultures.
Okay, there's another detail I wanted to touch on. It mentions that the police were present to take data.
Ah, yes. Data just means data or information in
Yeah.
Copimento. So basically, the police were there to gather the facts, details about the scene, the deceased, any witnesses. Standard procedure, I'd say.
Right. But it does make you wonder if there's anything unique about police investigations in Aruba.
That's a great point. We need to dig a bit deeper to get a definite answer. But, Aruba's a small island nation. Their whole policing environment is probably pretty different from larger countries.
Like, you're thinking factors like population density, crime rates, even the close-knit nature of the communities could influence their approach.
Exactly. And those factors could play a role in how news is reported and consumed there, too.
Which brings us back to our source, massnatisha.com. What's their role in the Aruban media landscape?